Admiral Vexlar stood at the command center of the hegemony warship Inevitable Conquest, his 4 eyes fixed on the blue-green planet displayed on the main screen. The small world looked insignificant among the thousands of star systems already under hegemony control. This would be an easy addition to the Empire. "Preliminary scans complete, Admiral," reported Science Officer Krell. "The dominant species appears to have achieved basic spaceflight and global communication networks. Weapon signatures indicate nuclear capabilities but no energy weapons. A level 3 civilization at most." Vexlar's mouth parts clicked in satisfaction. "Another simple integration then. Prepare the standard contact package." The hegemony had conquered over 1,000 worlds using the same approach. Send overwhelming force, demonstrate superior technology, and watch the primitive species surrender. Those who resisted were made examples of. Those who submitted became productive members of the Empire. After proper adjustment, of course. "The planet's inhabitants call themselves humans and their world Earth," Krell continued. "Their biology is unusual. Oxygen-dependent carbon-based life forms with unusual endurance characteristics. They appear physically fragile compared to hegemony standards. Note their fragility in the species profile," Vexlar ordered. "It will be useful during the adjustment phase." On Earth, alarms blared across every military installation. "Commander." John Porter rushed into the United Earth Defense Headquarters buried deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Screens around the room showed the 7 massive alien ships that had appeared at the edge of the solar system just hours ago. "What do we know?" Porter asked, his voice steady despite the knot in his stomach. General Sam Mitchell pointed to the main display. "They appeared near Neptune's orbit. No warp signatures or anything we recognize as conventional propulsion. They're just there, and they're heading straight for Earth." Porter studied the ships. Each one was larger than anything humans had ever built. Gleaming black structures with strange geometric patterns along their hulls. "Any communication?" "Nothing yet," replied Communications Officer Kate Young. "We're broadcasting standard first contact protocols on all frequencies, but..." Her console lit up with an incoming signal. "Sir, they're responding." The main screen flickered, revealing a creature that made several staff members gasp. Admiral Vexlar's 4 eyes blinked independently, his exoskeleton gleaming under the lights of his ship. When he spoke, the computer translation came through with only a slight delay. "People of Earth, I am Admiral Vexlar of the Galactic Hegemony. Your world has been noted for integration into our empire. Prepare your leaders to receive our terms. Resistance is inadvisable." Porter stepped forward. "This is Commander John Porter of the Earth Defense Fleet. We welcome peaceful contact with your civilization, but we are not interested in being integrated into any empire. We propose diplomatic discussions as equals." The alien's eye stalks twitched in what Porter guessed was amusement. "There are no equals in the galaxy, Commander. Only the hegemony and those who serve it. We will demonstrate our technological superiority so you understand your position. Prepare your world leaders." The transmission cut off. "Well, that went well," Porter muttered. President Alan Wright called an emergency meeting of the United Earth Council. Representatives from every nation gathered in the secure underground chamber. "They're not here to make friends," Porter explained after showing the recording. "From their communication style and fleet positioning, this is a conquest, not a diplomatic mission." Dr. Lisa Carpenter, Earth's leading xenobiologist, rose from her seat. She was tall and slim with dark skin and keen eyes that missed nothing. "I've analyzed the biological data we gathered from the transmission," she said. "These aliens evolved on a high-gravity world with dense atmosphere. Their exoskeletons suggest tremendous physical strength, but poor endurance. Their civilization appears highly stratified and technological. I believe they've eliminated most natural selection pressures centuries ago." "What does that mean for us?" asked President Wright. Carpenter's expression was thoughtful. "It means they might be physically stronger, but they're likely unused to prolonged conflict or adaptive warfare. Their communication suggests a species accustomed to immediate compliance. They don't expect resistance." Ambassador Susan Miller, a small woman with graying hair and decades of diplomatic experience, spoke next. We should attempt peaceful negotiation while preparing for the worst. Even if they outmatch our technology, we need to show them that humanity won't surrender its freedom without a fight. Wright nodded. Agreed. Ambassador Miller, prepare to meet with these hegemony representatives. Commander Porter, put our forces on high alert but take no aggressive action. As the meeting ended, Porter pulled Carpenter aside. Do you think we have any chance against them? Technologically, probably not, she admitted, but they've made a critical error. What's that? They've classified us as fragile based on their standards, but human endurance, adaptability, and sheer stubbornness don't show up on biological scans. She smiled grimly. They've underestimated us. That might be our only advantage. The next day, a small hegemony shuttle descended to the United Nations headquarters in New York. Ambassador Miller led the greeting party, standing tall despite the tension. The shuttle doors opened, and Sub-Commander Zareth emerged. He was smaller than Admiral Vexlar, but still towered over the humans. 2 armed guards flanked him, their weapons obvious but not pointed at anyone. Yet. Welcome to Earth, Miller said formally. We hope to establish peaceful relations between our worlds. Zareth's translator converted his clicking speech. Peace is simple to achieve. Submit to the hegemony, and peace is guaranteed. The Admiral sends this message. Prepare for a demonstration of our power in exactly 6 Earth hours. A small, uninhabited location has been selected. After you witness our capabilities, formal surrender terms will be presented. Miller kept her expression neutral. We understand your message, however, we would prefer to discuss cultural and technological exchange rather than surrender. Humanity has much to offer as allies rather than subjects. The alien's eye stalks quivered in what might have been laughter. Alliance? The hegemony does not form alliances with level 3 civilizations. You will serve or you will suffer. This is the natural order of the galaxy. Perhaps you should learn more about humanity before making such assumptions, Miller suggested carefully. We have conquered 1,000 worlds, human. Your species is nothing special. Zareth turned to leave, then paused. You have 1 planetary rotation to consider your position. Submit or we will provide a more significant demonstration. As the aliens returned to their shuttle, Commander Porter stepped forward from where he had been observing. They have no idea what they're dealing with, do they? He asked quietly. Miller shook her head. And apparently no one's ever told them about human history. Porter looked up at the sky where the massive hegemony ships loomed, visible even in daylight. Let's hope they're quick learners for their sake. 6 hours later, the world watched in horror as a perfect circle was carved from a small uninhabited island in the Pacific Ocean. The hegemony weapon left nothing but steaming water where land had been moments before. The demonstration was broadcast, on every channel, impossible to ignore. In the emergency command center, President Wright watched the footage in grim silence. The room around him was quiet except for the occasional whisper as military advisors conferred in hushed tones. They could have targeted a city, General Patricia Daniels said finally. This was meant to frighten without forcing us into desperate action. They're following a playbook, Commander Porter agreed. Shock and awe, but measured. They expect us to calculate the odds and surrender. The President turned to Dr. Carpenter. Have you learned anything new about them? She nodded, bringing up a holographic display of hegemony biology and technical specifications gathered from their transmissions. Their ships have impressive offensive capabilities, but their defensive systems suggest they're unused to sustained attacks. They rely on overwhelming force rather than endurance. She highlighted sections of the alien physiology. As I suspected, they evolved on a high-gravity world, strong but with poor stamina. Their civilization has used technology to eliminate most hardships. They haven't fought a real war in over 300 of our years. So they're bullies, Porter said. They've gotten by on intimidation and superior technology, not actual combat experience. Exactly, Carpenter agreed, and they've completely misinterpreted human physiology. Their scans classify us as fragile but technologically adequate. They don't understand our endurance, pain tolerance, or adaptive capabilities. General Daniels stepped forward. We can't win a conventional war. Their energy weapons alone outmatch anything we have. But conventional isn't how humans fight when, backed into a corner, Captain Eric Russell said from the doorway. The Special Forces veteran entered the room, still in his combat fatigues. Permission to speak freely, Mr. President? Wright nodded. Go ahead, Captain. The hegemony expects us to either surrender or attempt a suicidal frontal assault. Those are the responses they're prepared for. Russell pointed to the holographic display of the alien ships. But their scans of us are incomplete. They don't know about our Special Forces capabilities, our stealth technology, or our unconventional warfare doctrine. What are you suggesting? Porter asked. A third option. Russell's eyes gleamed. While they're waiting for our surrender, we infiltrate their ships. Small teams, elite operators. We've been developing stealth shuttles that might avoid their detection systems. If they're as overconfident as they seem, their internal security will be minimal. The room fell silent as everyone considered the bold proposal. It's high risk, Porter said finally. Higher risk than surrender to a species that destroys planets, Russell countered. President Wright studied the captain's face, then looked around the room. Dr. Carpenter, could this work? From what we've observed of their technology and behavior, yes. They're not expecting resistance at this stage, especially not infiltration. Their ships are designed to repel external attacks, not internal threats. The president nodded slowly. Develop the plan, but we need time. Ambassador Miller, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. I can buy us that time. When their representative returns for our answer, I'll stall, request clarification of terms, ask for cultural exchange information, diplomatic maneuvers to delay without overtly refusing. How much time can you get us? Russell asked. Miller considered. 3 days, perhaps. Any longer would make them suspicious. 3 days to prepare a counter-offensive against a technologically superior alien force, Porter said. No pressure. Right. Stood. It's decided then. We'll call it Operation Hornet's Nest. Captain Russell will lead the infiltration teams. Commander Porter and General Daniels will coordinate from here. Dr. Carpenter will provide technical and biological intelligence. Ambassador Miller will keep the hegemony distracted. He looked at each of them in turn. This may be humanity's greatest challenge. Let's show these aliens what humans are made of. The next morning, Sub-Commander Zareth returned to the United Nations building. He was escorted to a conference room where Ambassador Miller waited with a small team of human diplomats. Your time to consider has ended, Zareth announced without preamble. The terms of your vassalage are simple. Earth will provide resources and labor as required by the hegemony. In exchange, you will receive protection and limited access to some hegemony technologies. Resistance at any stage will result in planetary punishment. Miller smiled pleasantly. Thank you for outlining these terms, Sub-Commander. Our leadership has reviewed your proposal and has several important questions before proceeding. Zareth's eye stalks twitched in irritation. Questions are unnecessary. You have witnessed our power. Indeed, and it was most impressive, Miller agreed smoothly. However, as this is the first time our species has encountered galactic governance, we need to understand certain aspects of integration. For instance, what specific resources will be required? How will labor quotas be determined? What level of technological access can we expect? These details will be determined after your formal surrender, Zareth said. I'm afraid Earth's governance requires more specific information before any formal agreements. Our leaders are preparing our people for this transition, but need concrete details to present. Miller passed a data tablet to the alien. We've prepared questions organized by category. Additionally, we request 3 days to prepare our leadership structure for the transition. Zareth's exoskeleton shifted in what might have been a sign of frustration. He had expected immediate compliance after the demonstration. This delay was unexpected but ultimately meaningless. 3 more days would make no difference to the inevitable outcome. 3 days, he agreed finally. Then we integrate your world into the glory of the hegemony. No further delays will be tolerated. As the alien delegation departed, Miller maintained her diplomatic smile until the doors closed. Only then did She allowed her expression to harden. "The clock is ticking," she said to her team. "Let's hope 3 days is enough." Meanwhile, deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Captain Russell briefed his infiltration teams, 20 elite operators from various special forces units around the world. The best humanity had to offer. "Make no mistake, this is likely a one-way mission," he told them bluntly. "Our objective is to disable or capture as many hegemony ships as possible, retrieve their technical data, and demonstrate that humanity isn't the easy target they believe us to be." He displayed the schematics Dr. Carpenter had compiled based on scans of the alien vessels. "We'll deploy in 5 teams of 4. Each team has a primary target system: weapons, engines, communications, or command. Our modified stealth shuttles should get us close enough to board." Lieutenant Kelly Bennett, a naval intelligence specialist with combat experience, studied the alien ship layouts. "Their internal security looks minimal. They're not expecting anyone to get inside." Russell confirmed. "That's our only advantage. That, and the fact they've completely underestimated what humans are capable of when fighting for survival." As preparations continued around the world, Admiral Vexillar received Sub-Commander Zareth's report with irritation. 3 days? You allowed them 3 more days of freedom?" "They are organizing their surrender, Admiral," Zareth replied. "It seemed a reasonable accommodation to ensure smooth integration." "Reasonable?" Vexillar's eye stalks quivered. "Have you forgotten protocol? Primitive species must be kept off balance during integration. Every moment we delay increases the risk of resistance." "These humans show no signs of resistance capability," Zareth assured him. "Their military forces remain in defensive positions. Their technology is primitive. Their biological frailty makes them unsuitable for prolonged combat." Vexillar clicked his mouthparts in resignation. "Very well. 3 days, but maintain constant surveillance. At the first sign of anything beyond diplomatic preparation, you will initiate immediate subjugation protocols." "Understood, Admiral. But I assure you, these humans know they are outmatched. They will submit, as all others have before them." Neither alien noticed the small, dark shapes detaching from Earth's orbital stations, their stealth systems masking them from standard hegemony scanners as they began their approach to the alien fleet. The 5 stealth shuttles approached the hegemony fleet under cover of Earth's electromagnetic storm activity. Each shuttle carried 4 Special Forces operators, all veterans of multiple combat missions. Captain Russell led the team targeting the flagship Inevitable Conquest, where Admiral Vexillar commanded the fleet. "Final equipment check," Russell ordered as their shuttle closed in on the massive alien vessel. His team, Lieutenant Paul Jackson, Sergeant Maria Diaz, and Corporal Frank Williams, verified their weapons and specialized gear. "Oxygen reserves at full capacity," Jackson reported. "Breaching tools ready." "Tactical network online," added Diaz, checking the small computer on her wrist. "I'm receiving Dr. Carpenter's real-time data stream." Back on Earth, Dr. Carpenter monitored the operation from the command center. Multiple screens displayed the team's vital signs, helmet camera feeds, and the limited sensor data they had on the alien ships. "The hegemony vessels use a different atmosphere mix than we do," she explained to Commander Porter and President Wright. "Our teams have 6 hours of oxygen in their sealed suits. After that, they'll need to either capture environmental systems or withdraw, if they survive that long," Porter murmured. "Captain Russell's team is approaching the primary access point now," Carpenter continued, ignoring the comment. On the flagship, Russell's shuttle silently docked against an external maintenance hatch. Their intelligence suggested these access points were rarely monitored, used only for exterior repairs. "Breaching tool active," Williams whispered, attaching the specialized device to the alien metal. It used a combination of heat and molecular manipulation to create an opening without triggering alarms. "Remember," Russell told his team as the hatch began to yield. "Based on Dr. Carpenter's analysis, the hegemony crew will be physically stronger but have poor endurance. Hit hard, move fast, and don't get caught in hand-to-hand combat if you can avoid it." The breach tool completed its work, creating an opening just large enough for the humans to slip through one by one. Russell went first, his weapon ready as he entered the alien ship. The corridor was dimly lit and larger than human scale, with smooth metallic walls covered in the strange geometric patterns they had observed from outside. The air, visible through their helmet visors as a slightly purple haze, would be toxic to humans. "Clear," Russell whispered, and his team followed him inside. "Accessing ship schematics," Diaz said, consulting her wrist computer. "According to Dr. Carpenter's analysis, we need to head 3 levels up to reach the central command systems." The boss team moved cautiously through the corridors, encountering no resistance. Just as their intelligence had suggested, the hegemony had minimal internal security. Why would they? No species had ever managed to board one of their vessels before. Meanwhile, the other teams were similarly infiltrating their target ships. Lieutenant Kelly Bennett led the team assigned to capture a hegemony data core from one of the smaller vessels in the fleet. "Primary server room should be ahead," her technical specialist, Corporal Ryan Cooper, whispered as they navigated the alien corridors. "If their system architecture is consistent with what we've observed, the data core will be a crystalline structure about the size of a basketball." Bennett nodded. "Once we have it, plant the charges on the ship's engines. We may not be able to destroy these vessels, but we can certainly disable them." Across the fleet, human teams were moving with purpose and stealth, placing explosive charges on critical systems and preparing for the coordinated strike. The plan was simple. At Russell's signal, all teams would simultaneously attack their primary targets, creating maximum chaos and confusion. On the flagship's bridge, Admiral Vexler received routine status reports, completely unaware of the intruders. The ship's automated systems showed all functions normal. The alien was growing impatient with the humans' delay tactics, but satisfied that the demonstration had made the necessary impression. "Sub-Commander, prepare the integration protocols," he ordered. "When the humans surrender tomorrow, I want immediate resource extraction to begin." "Yes, Admiral," Zareth replied. "The survey teams are already—" An alarm suddenly blared, cutting off his words. A junior officer rushed to a console. "Admiral, security breach detected in lower engineering." Vexelar's eye stalks swiveled in surprise. "Impossible. Run a diagnostic." "It's not a system error," the officer insisted. "We have intruders on board." At that moment, Russell's team reached the ship's central neural network, the hegemony equivalent of a computer core. Dr. Carpenter had identified this as the critical system controlling all ship functions. "Plant the disruptors," Russell ordered. Williams began attaching small devices to the pulsing crystalline structures. "Dr. Carpenter," Russell said into his comm, "we've reached the target, awaiting your guidance." Back on Earth, Carpenter studied the images from Russell's helmet camera. The neural pathways are biological technological hybrids. The primary command nodes should be the larger amber-colored crystals. Disrupt those first. As Williams placed the final device, the corridor door suddenly opened. 3 hegemony crew members stood there, their exoskeletons gleaming under the ship's lights. For a moment, both groups froze in surprise. Then the aliens charged. Russell fired his weapon, a specialized non-lethal pulse designed to override the aliens' nervous systems. The first alien dropped, but the other 2 kept coming, moving with surprising speed. One grabbed Jackson, lifting him off the ground with ease. Diaz fired, hitting the alien in the joint where Dr. Carpenter had identified a vulnerability. The creature shrieked but didn't release Jackson. Russell tackled the third alien, using his momentum to compensate for the creature's superior strength. They crashed into a wall, the alien's exoskeleton making a cracking sound. It fought back, landing a powerful blow to Russell's chest that would have crushed his ribs without the protective suit. "Williams, activate the disruptors now," Russell shouted as he struggled. Williams hit the detonator. The devices attached to the neural network pulsed with energy. Throughout the ship, systems began to fail. Lights flickered, gravity wavered, and the aliens suddenly seemed disoriented. Their neural implants must be connected to the ship's network, Diaz realized, taking advantage of the moment to fire again at the alien holding Jackson. This time it collapsed. Russell broke free from his opponent, who was now clutching its head in apparent pain. All teams execute primary objectives now, he commanded over the shared channel. Across the fleet, the human teams activated their devices simultaneously. Ship after ship experienced cascading system failures. Bennett's team had just secured the data core when Russell's signal came. Data secured, she reported. Engine charges planted. Sub-Commander Zareth stumbled on the bridge as the ship's systems went haywire around him. What is happening? He demanded. The humans, Admiral Vexillar realized with shock. They've boarded our vessels. How is this possible? Zareth staggered to a weapons console. I'm initiating immediate retaliation against Earth, but the console wouldn't respond. None of them would. The bridge doors opened, and Russell's team entered, weapons raised. The human captain stepped forward, facing the alien admiral directly. Your weapon systems are offline, Russell informed them calmly. So are your engines, communications, and life support. Don't worry. We've left enough emergency power for you to survive until help arrives. We're not monsters. Vexillar's 4 eyes blinked in disbelief. Impossible. You are a level 3 civilization at best. Russell secured the alien commander, using specialized restraints designed based on Dr. Carpenter's analysis of their physiology. You should have researched us better, he said. Humans don't respond well to threats. On the secondary vessel, Bennett's team had completed downloading the hegemony star charts, technological specifications, and tactical databases. You were right, she told Cooper as they prepared to withdraw. Their security protocols are centered on external threats. They never considered that someone might get inside. Pride before the fall, Cooper said. Tale as old as time, even. Across the galaxy, apparently. As the human teams began their coordinated withdrawal, taking with them valuable data and several hegemony prisoners, including Admiral Vexillar, Russell contacted Earth. Operation Hornet's Nest successful, he reported. All primary objectives achieved, hegemony fleet neutralized. We're coming home, and we're bringing guests. In the command center, cheers erupted. President Wright smiled for the first time in days. Now, he said to Porter and Carpenter, let's prepare to have a real conversation with the Galactic Hegemony, one between equals. The captured Hegemony data core contained a treasure trove of information that would forever change humanity's understanding of the galaxy. Dr. Carpenter led a team of scientists working around the clock to translate and analyze the alien database. 3 days after Operation Hornet's Nest, she presented her findings to President Wright and the United Earth Council. The room was silent as her holographic display showed thousands of star systems, all under hegemony control. The Empire is vast, she explained. Spanning nearly a quarter of the galaxy, they've been expanding for over 3,000 years, conquering, or absorbing hundreds of other species. Porter studied the display. All those worlds under their control. How did we manage to defeat their ships when so many others failed? That's where it gets interesting, Carpenter replied, changing the display to show a classification system. The hegemony categorizes all intelligent species they encounter. Humans are classified as Deathworlders. Deathworlders? President Wright repeated. Yes. It refers to species that evolved on planets with high gravity, extreme climate variations, dangerous wildlife, and frequent natural disasters. Carpenter highlighted Earth on the display. By hegemony standards, Earth is an extremely dangerous planet. Most hegemony species evolved on worlds with stable climates, low gravity, and minimal environmental threats. So we're tougher because our planet tried to kill us for millions of years, General Daniels asked with a hint of pride. Essentially, yes. And here's the crucial part. We're only the third Deathworld species they've ever encountered. The room grew quiet again as the implications sank in. What happened to the other two? Porter asked. Carpenter's expression grew grim. They were destroyed. After initial conquest attempts failed, the hegemony classified them as too dangerous to exist and eliminated them completely. Ambassador Miller, who had been quietly listening, looked up sharply. So Zareth's mission wasn't just about adding Earth to their empire. They were evaluating us for extermination. Yes, Carpenter confirmed. The standard hegemony protocol for Deathworlders is quarantine and observation. Zareth violated that protocol with his direct contact mission. But according to their records, if we had submitted peacefully, we would have been gradually weakened through resource extraction and population control. If we had fought conventionally and lost, we would have been deemed too dangerous and eliminated. And if we had fought conventionally and somehow won, Wright asked. Same outcome. The hegemony would have sent their entire fleet to eliminate the threat. They were going to exterminate us one way or another. Carpenter paused. Just not today. In the secure facility where the captured hegemony officers were being held, Captain Russell and Ambassador Miller confronted Admiral Vexillar. The alien sat rigidly in a specially designed chair, his four eyes constantly moving between the humans. Your species continues to confound expectations, Vexillar said. I have answered your questions for 3 days now. When will you release me to return to my empire? We've been reviewing your empire's database, Miller replied calmly. Specifically, your protocols regarding Deathworld species. For the first time, Vexillar showed a reaction that might have been alarm. His eye stalks froze momentarily. Then, you understand your situation, he said after a pause. The hegemony cannot allow Deathworlders free access to the galaxy. Your kind always bring chaos and destruction. Unlike your empire, which brings peace by conquering or destroying anyone. Different from you? Russell asked pointedly. Vexillar's exoskeleton shifted in what they had come to recognize as the equivalent of a shrug. Galactic stability requires control. The strong must guide the weak. The dangerous must be contained. Miller leaned forward. You were supposed to quarantine us, not conquer us. Your own regulations forbid direct engagement with Deathworld species. Sub-Commander Zareth's assessment indicated technological capability but physical weakness, Vexillar replied. A reasonable basis for deviation from standard protocol. You misinterpreted our biology, Russell said. What you saw as weakness is our adaptability. Humans can endure pain, deprivation, and extreme conditions that would kill your species. And now you know this, Vexillar said, his voice taking on a note of what might have been resignation. So you understand why the Hegemony Council will never accept your existence. Your victory here means nothing. When I fail to report, they will send more ships, then more. The full might of the hegemony will descend on your world. Miller and Russell exchanged glances. They had anticipated this response. That's one possibility, Miller agreed. But we're considering another approach. President Wright made his decision. After hours of debate with the Council, Earth would take a bold step that no other species had ever attempted. We will use the captured hegemony vessels to send a delegation directly to their capital world, he announced. Captain Russell and Ambassador Miller will lead the mission, bringing the captured admiral and the evidence of his unsanctioned attack. Is that wise? Porter asked. We'd be walking straight into the heart of their empire. Hiding isn't an option, Wright replied. Now that we know they classified us for eventual extinction, we need to change their perception. The best defense is a clear message. Humanity won't be contained, conquered, or exterminated without consequences. Lieutenant Bennett's team had decrypted more of the hegemony database, revealing detailed information about the Empire's central world, Zandraxis, and its governing council. The hegemony's central defense systems are designed to repel large-scale attacks, she explained during the mission briefing. A small delegation in their own ships should be able to approach unhindered, especially with Admiral Vexillar to provide authentication codes. And if they decide to capture or kill us once we arrive, Russell asked. Bennett displayed another section of the data. We've identified a vulnerability in their planetary defense grid. If necessary, we can transmit a signal that will temporarily disable their systems. Let's hope it doesn't come to that, Miller said. Our goal is to establish humanity as a species to be respected and left alone, not to start a war we can't win. 2 days later, 3 of the captured hegemony vessels departed Earth, carrying a small human delegation along with their alien prisoners. Using the star charts from the hegemony database, they plotted a course to Zandraxis. Russell stood on the bridge of the lead ship, watching as Earth grew smaller behind them. The vessel felt strange under his command. designed for beings with different proportions and biological needs. Human engineers had worked frantically to modify environmental systems in one section to support human life, but most of the ship remained fitted for hegemony use. Having second thoughts, Captain? Miller asked, joining him at the viewport. Just considering the odds, he replied. We're taking 3 ships to confront an empire of thousands of worlds. Sometimes the boldest move is the safest, she said. They expect us to either cower on Earth waiting for extermination, or to attempt a doomed resistance. They don't expect us to show up at their front door. Admiral Vexillar, secured but present on the bridge, made a sound that might have been laughter. Your species truly is as irrational as the records suggest. You fly to your doom with remarkable confidence. Russell turned to the alien. You still don't understand humans, Admiral. We're not just fighting for survival. We're fighting for the right to exist on our own terms. And history has shown that's when we're at our most dangerous. As the ships accelerated toward their jump point, Earth's first interstellar delegation prepared to make humanity's case to the galaxy. They carried not just weapons and diplomats, but a message no Deathworlder had delivered before. Underestimate us at your peril. The journey to Xandraxis took 12 days. The captured hegemony ships moved through space using technology humans had only dreamed about. Captain Russell spent much of the journey studying the alien systems with his team, learning as much as possible in case they needed to fight their way out. Ambassador Miller prepared for the diplomatic challenge ahead. We need to strike the right balance, she told Russell as they approached the hegemony capital system. Show strength without appearing threatening. Will they even listen? Russell asked. From what we've learned, the hegemony isn't known for diplomatic flexibility. They've never faced a species that fought back successfully, Miller replied. That alone should make them pay attention. Admiral Vexillar, still their prisoner but now serving as a reluctant guide, warned them as they entered the outer defense perimeter. The Council will see your arrival as proof that Deathworlders are too dangerous. You raid our ships, steal our technology, and now invade our home system. You make their case for them. We're not invading, Miller corrected him. We're returning you and your ships and proposing terms that benefit both our peoples. The Admiral's eye stalks twitched. Benefit? The hegemony does not negotiate with potential threats. There are only 2 categories, useful species and dangerous species. Then perhaps it's time for a 3rd category, Russell suggested. Equals. Xandraxis was a massive artificial ring world orbiting a red giant star. Its surface area equaled 1,000 Earths, with sections dedicated to different environments for the various species that made up the hegemony's upper echelons. As their ships approached, they were immediately surrounded by defense vessels. Unidentified. Vessels using hegemony signatures you will power down and prepare for boarding, came the transmission from the lead defense ship. Vexillar spoke the response phrases Russell had compelled him to memorize. This is Admiral Vexillar of the Earth Containment Fleet. We request direct audience with the Council under Protocol 7 Alpha. There was a long pause before the response came. Approach vector transmitted. Follow precisely. Any deviation will result in immediate destruction. Their 3 ships were escorted to a massive docking structure extending from the ring world. When they landed, the human delegation prepared to disembark. Remember, Miller told the 20 humans who formed their group, we're here to establish humanity as a force to be recognized, not to start a war. Show confidence but remain non-threatening. They stepped onto hegemony soil, the first humans, to set foot on an alien world. Heavily armed guards surrounded them immediately. The guards were not the same species as Vexillar. These were larger, with 6 limbs and armored exoskeletons clearly designed for combat. Another Deathworld species, Vexillar explained quietly. Conquered and selectively bred for military service over many generations. Russell felt a chill at this casual explanation of what amounted to slavery and genetic manipulation. They were escorted through vast halls with ceilings that soared hundreds of feet above them. Other alien species stopped to stare at the humans, the first Deathworlders many had ever seen. Finally, they reached the council chamber, a circular room with a central platform surrounded by elevated seats rising in tiers. Each seat held a different type of alien, representing the various ruling species of the hegemony. At the highest tier sat Grand Overseer Morax, a being similar to Vexlar but larger, with 6 eyes instead of 4 and elaborate decorations on his exoskeleton. Admiral Vexlar, Morax's voice boomed through translation devices. You were sent to evaluate the Earth species for possible containment. Instead, you return in their custody. Explain this failure. Miller stepped forward before Vexlar could respond. The Admiral's mission violated your own protocols regarding Deathworld species. We are here to address this violation and establish new terms for human hegemony relations. Murmurs spread through the chamber at her boldness. Morax's eyes fixed on Miller. You speak as if you have authority to negotiate. Deathworlders cannot be permitted to join the galactic community. Your species represents an unacceptable threat to cosmic stability. We came prepared to establish peaceful relations, Miller replied, standing tall before the Alien Council. We still hope for that outcome. Impossible, Morax declared. History proves Deathworlders always expand violently once given access to advanced technology. Russell stepped forward to join Miller. With respect, Overseer, you've misunderstood something fundamental about humans. We fight fiercely when threatened, but we prefer peace. Unlike you, we evolved past the need to dominate. Naive assertions, another council member called out. Your brief history is filled with violence and conquest. Yes, we fought among ourselves, Russell acknowledged, and we learned from it. We united our world without destroying our diversity. We value freedom, not control. Admirable sentiments, Morax said dismissively. But the council has already voted. Earth will be quarantined permanently with defensive platforms to ensure compliance. You will be detained for study. Russell locked eyes with Miller, giving a subtle nod. It was time for their final gambit. Miller touched a device on her wrist, activating a holographic display in the center of the chamber. It showed Earth ships now positioned throughout hegemony space. While we've been talking, humans have been moving, Russell explained. We could have struck any of your core worlds. Instead, we came to talk. The council erupted in angry shouts and demands for explanation. Impossible, Morax roared. You cannot have navigated our territory so quickly. We used your star charts and a handful of real vessels, Miller explained. We don't want war with the galactic hegemony. But make no mistake, if you come to Earth with hostile intent again, there won't be negotiations. This is a deception, one council member hissed. They cannot have such capabilities. Are you certain? Russell asked. You were also certain. We couldn't board your ships or navigate to your homeworld. Yet here we stand. He gestured to Lieutenant Bennett, who activated another holographic display showing Earth's defense preparations. Some were real. Others were clever fabrications based on hegemony technology they'd studied. We will not be contained, we will not be conquered, and we certainly won't be exterminated, Miller declared. This isn't a threat. It's a warning from one sentient species to another. A long silence fell over the chamber. Finally, Morax spoke. The council requires time to consider this unexpected development. 20 hours later, the Hegemony Council reconvened. Morax seemed diminished somehow, his previous arrogance replaced with cautious formality. The council has deliberated, he announced. While Deathworlders remain a concern, we recognize that Earth has demonstrated unusual characteristics. A non-aggression pact may be considered provided strict borders are maintained. It wasn't friendship or alliance, but it was acknowledgement, something no Deathworld species had achieved before. Miller negotiated the details with practiced diplomatic skill, establishing Earth's solar system and several neighboring stars as sovereign human territory. As the human delegation prepared to return home, Dr. Carpenter, who had remained mostly silent during the proceedings, made an observation to Russell and Miller. They still don't understand us, she said quietly. They think we're dangerous because we're strong or clever, but that's not it. What is it then? Miller asked. It's that humans will endure almost anything to protect what they love, Carpenter replied. And unlike the hegemony, we've learned to love more than just power. Russell looked out at the artificial paradise the hegemony had built. Impressive but sterile, a monument to control rather than creativity. They'll learn eventually, he said. Or they won't. Either way, humanity has made its stand. As their ships departed Xandraxis, carrying the first formal recognition of Earth by the galactic community, Russell thought about the long journey ahead. The hegemony wouldn't change overnight. They might never truly understand humans, but they had learned to respect them, and for now that was enough. Earth would continue to prepare, to build, to explore, not as conquerors like the hegemony, but as explorers and innovators. And if the galaxy wasn't ready for humans, well, they would just have to get ready, because humans were coming. And unlike the hegemony, they weren't bringing chains, they were bringing possibilities.